it took me to go from undesirable to un-goddamn deniable.
Revolutionary, game changer, icon. These are just some of the few words that describe the impact of Cody Rhodes on the world of professional wrestling. From his early days in WWE and electrifying performances in AEW to his triumphant return to WWE after 6 long years with WrestleMania 38, Cody has quite literally changed the game. Despite being overshadowed by his father, the American Dream's legacy, and talented competitors in the initial stages of his career, he redefined himself and became one of the most respected and influential figures in the industry. His emphasis on storytelling, character development, and fan engagement has brought innovative and groundbreaking ideas to wrestling. Cody's impact is so significant that he was able to keep the same character and introduction music when he switched from AEW back to WWE, prompting everyone to ask, how did he convince the boss, Vince McMahon, to allow that to happen? But that only speaks of the impact he's truly had. His journey from his humble beginnings in the business to becoming a true force in wrestling makes for a remarkable story, and it's no surprise that it's a perfect lead-up to WrestleMania 39's major main event. Despite being the son of the legendary American Dream, his father didn't train Cody beyond his first few bumps. The entry door to WWE developmental wasn't difficult. He had a seamless transition to the main roster in 2007. His early years were far more successful than most superstars, having won a tag team championship with Hardcore Holly just a few months after his main roster debut. The Legacy faction was supposed to be the next iteration of the Evolution faction, but it never really worked out that way, and only served as a launching pad for then young Cody Rhodes to go to just the next level. The 9 years of his first run in WWE had many highlights, including dashing performances against Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania 27, an all-time great tag team run with his brother Goldust. He was never elevated to that main event single-star status he desired, like his father had achieved. Many fans don't realize how big of a risk it was for Cody to leave the only place he had wrestled for. He was going into uncharted territory, but he handled it perfectly. Before his non-compete clause with WWE finished, Cody tweeted the image of a list of wrestlers who he wanted to face. The likes of Kurt Angle, Adam Cole, Chris Hero, Moose, Trevor Lee, and more were all named. This single tweet instantly built up hype for what Cody could achieve outside of the WWE. A mix of luck, timing, and hard work made Cody the hottest superstar in the fast-rising independent wrestling scene. Every match of his became a must-watch, and from a financial perspective alone, leaving WWE turned out to be a great gamble. As he revealed, he was making far more in the independents at this time. And while he couldn't complete the list of names he wanted to face, he achieved almost all of it. His biggest impact happened in Ring of Honor, where he became the ROH World Champion. Apart from just ticking off the bucket list of opponents, he also got to compete in the PWG, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and even Impact Wrestling. But none of his success would have the same impact it was having from a single tweet from Dave Meltzer in 2017. Replying to a fan, Dave Meltzer said he couldn't see Ring of Honor selling 10,000 seats to a show anytime soon. Cody took this as a challenge and responded, and this set in wheels motion for one of the biggest moments in professional wrestling history. Cody was serious when he said he would take that bet, and along with the Young Bucks, began to work on a show that would draw the same level of interest and attendance as a WWE arena event. This resulted in the formation of All In, an 11-match card that was labeled as the biggest independent wrestling show ever. Not only did Cody and the Bucks surpass the goal of 10,000, they sold 11,263 tickets, but the pay-per-view itself had 50,000 sales. That's impressive in the post-pay-per-view streaming era. But more importantly, behind the scenes, this was a huge change that was going to shake up the entire professional wrestling industry. This was the launching pad for something we hadn't seen since WCW. Following months and rumors and reports, in January 2019, a press conference was held where Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks announced the launch of All Elite Wrestling. Funded and backed by President Tony Khan, Rhodes and the Bucks, along with New Japan star Kenny Omega, would serve as executive vice presidents, and the press conference ended with the reveal that WWE legend Chris Jericho was joining this new upstart promotion. It was an unprecedented move to give that many wrestlers real backstage power. And there was a huge shift in the type of contracts and pay being offered, with AEW contracts being considered more favorable to some free agent wrestlers. Individual superstars being able to change how wrestlers are treated just doesn't happen that often. And while AEW got running and the broadcast deal with TNT was announced to begin later in 2019, something was happening behind the scenes in WWE as well. AEW was being taken notice of, and the interest in wrestlers signing with them put a wrench in WWE's previous plans to seemingly hoard the best talent in the world. Suddenly, an alternative option for wrestlers gave them one more major option to earn a living, and as WWE was already considered the only go-to place if a superstar wanted to make it big, now there was another one. The fact that so much change happened as a result of one simple tweet is mind-boggling, but doesn't take away from the fact that Cody and the Bucks pushed to create a better world for up-and-coming wrestlers of the next generation. In terms of being an on-screen character, Cody intentionally banned himself from ever being in the AEW world title scene, although he admitted years later that it was the wrong decision for him as he was only 33 years old. This is where the problem began for Cody, as he found it hard to be in a position where he had to make a company decision as well as decisions for himself on screen. But Cody was still a significant part of AEW programming, becoming a 3-time TNT champion and one of the most important stars on the roster. It was his yearning for a greater glory that ultimately led him back to making another game-changing decision to leave AEW and return to WWE. But there was no doubt about one thing: he was once undesirable and was now undeniable. Cody Rhodes made another bit of history. By 2022, there were several WWE stars who either left or were released and jumped ship to AEW. It became an obvious option for every wrestler, but the American Nightmare had something different in mind. Many criticized Cody for, quote, abandoning the ship. Some took it as an affirmation that there is nothing bigger in wrestling than WWE. From Cody's point of view, it was a little bit more complicated than that. For one, he seemed to be realizing that being in his mid-30s wasn't the time for him to balance an executive role as well as being a top-tier wrestler. He admitted that it would have been better for him at 45 to take on an executive role, and he had a far bigger ambition for what he could achieve in the ring. WWE was also a logical choice because it was where he had began, and it was a place where his father, Dusty Rhodes, never won a world championship. Cody went to meet Vince McMahon for the first time in many years. His only demand was that he had the same entrance music, presentation, and character he had in AEW, which was a pretty hard thing to ask. Vince McMahon's response was essentially telling Cody that they don't want to fix something that isn't broken. For Cody, this marked the instant change from 2016, when everything felt broken in him. The stardust was wiped from his shoulder. Almost 8 years after his initial departure from WWE, Cody was ready. There was no need for the slow-burning build-up, and his return at WrestleMania 38 was a hotly anticipated surprise, and as explosive and as successful as everyone had hoped it would be, and he defeated Seth Rollins in a weekend-stealing match. He would continue his feud with Rollins for 2 more spectacular premium live event bouts, winning on all 3 occasions, but it was his Hell in a Cell match that set everything up for him. Cody's expected and triumphant return saw him win the men's 2023 Royal Rumble match. Yeah, that's where we are today, as him being positioned to possibly end the near 950-day plus title reign of Roman Reigns, the top star in all of professional wrestling, and he's doing it in the main event of WrestleMania. What happens if or when Cody Rhodes beats Roman Reigns is yet to be seen, but one thing is for sure: Cody Rhodes' impact on wrestling has so far surpassed what he has done in the ring. When it's all said and done, he's going to be remembered as one of the most influential wrestlers of the 21st century, and he will always be undeniable.